Hi, it's Evaleen from Awesome Training, and we're committing to getting a video up on YouTube every Monday from now. So there's a commitment. Today I'm going to talk about functioning labels. You may have seen some of our other videos where I might have referred to them. So I just wanted to explain what they are and why they're damaging, harmful, and pretty useless, basically. What are functioning labels? So in theory, functioning labels are used to describe an autistic person's ability to function in society. So, for example, someone may be diagnosed with high-functioning autism or be told they're severely autistic. There are many issues with functioning labels, so let's explore some of these. So the first thing I have to say about functioning labels is that they're pretty disgusting. Grading human beings is, by their perceived usefulness to society is pretty grim. Of course, when we say society, we really mean economy. Everyone has a purpose, everyone brings something to this world, and if we use functioning labels, then we diminish the value of human life. Functioning labels are also grossly inaccurate. These labels are assigned from the outside perspective, often with little understanding of the internal state of the autistic person. There are countless examples of autistic adults who were labeled as severely autistic as children, but who went on to prove that this was very wrong. Functioning labels are oppressive. When someone is labeled low functioning, they're often essentially written off. People's attitudes and expectations change, and that child is often denied the same education as their peers. They're taught life skills while their peers are taught the curriculum. What do I hear when people use functioning labels? When I hear people say that I must be high functioning or mild, I hear them tell me that I'm almost normal. That's what it sounds like to me. When I hear them say that others are low functioning, I hear them say that some autistics are very far from normal. When we use functioning labels for human beings, we're assuming that there's a standard way of existing, one standard way of existing, and deviations from this must be pathologized or medicalized. But as humans, we all have our strengths, weaknesses, and challenges. Imagine if we tried to label every child in their first year at school. Imagine if we graded them and labeled them as high, medium, or low functioning and implied that this was their level for the rest of their lives. It sounds pretty grim, doesn't it? We don't do that though, do we? We only do it to people who we don't recognize as fully human. Autistics. I find the whole idea of functioning labels repulsive. Grading human beings is degrading for those human beings. Functioning labels ignore natural development. They also ignore conditions that autistic people may have. So traditionally, terms like low functioning, severe, or profound were used to describe autistic people who were maybe unable to speak or to care for themselves. The use of these terms actually did a huge disservice to autistics and unfortunately continues to do so. The autistic community is still battling against outdated and oppressive ideas created by those who ought to have known better. Low functioning is often inaccurately used to describe autistic children who cannot speak. There's still an idea that someone's ability to speak is somehow related to intelligence, but speaking is a motor skill, and this idea needs to be challenged whenever it appears. There are countless stories of autistic people proving their intelligence once they were given the opportunity to do so through sign language or other AAC, which is augmentative and alternative communication. We also, of course, need to have a look at how we measure intelligence in the first place. Many of these tests are designed without taking into account the way autistic people communicate, our differences in perception, and those of us who have issues with motor skills. IQ tests measure one's ability to pass an IQ test. They don't necessarily reflect the internal state accurately. Many autistic people have been incorrectly labeled as having an intellectual disability because of the failure to adjust testing methods. And this is why it's so important to presume competence. Of course, all of these ideas around functioning labels and measuring perceived value of autistic humans is based on the idea that autism is a condition. I've already spoken about how the medical model has made our way of being into a condition, so do check out those videos. But if we move away from this idea that autistic people have this condition called autism, then we'll move away from harmful, oppressive, and inaccurate labels. We might, then be able to appreciate that autistic people are indeed people. We are people with different dreams, wants, wishes, talents, circumstances, priorities, and ambitions. We might also understand that everyone's functioning ability fluctuates on a daily basis, often changing within a day. It changes at different points in our lives and is dependent on numerous factors. One major factor is how other people regard us and relate to us. So categorizing us into how useful you think we might be to an economy is no way to relate to us. So, let's find better ways. We grade meat, we grade coffee. Grading humans is pretty degrading.